Wealth creation is an experience because just like the checking account balances, someone may feel wealthy with X in their checking account and someone may feel wealthy with Y. What I've come to find in 20 plus years in this business is that true wealth is something that is not at all defined by our financial assets, but it comes from taking an inventory of all the different assets that we possess, business owner or not, and being able to understanding what assets you might be light in. Let me tell you the number one asset, 100% of the time, what people are missing. 100% of the time when we take the asset inventory, the asset that everyone is missing or the asset that's out of balance or the bucket that's less full is your contribution assets or your contribution category.
Hello and welcome to the Mindful Entrepreneur Podcast. We're your hosts, Tati and Gerry Jimenez.
Join us as entrepreneurs and brother and sister interview inspiring leaders in different fields to explore how they've achieved results and fulfillment. Let's get started as soul, passion, and business come together at The Mindful Entrepreneur. Cokie Berenyi has been in financial services and serving the needs of individual and institutional clients and entrepreneurs since 1996. Author of The Liberated Investor, a 40 Under 40 recipient, 2012 Woman CEO of the Year, Cokie is currently climbing the 7 summits of the world. She is a mother, author, business owner, financial samurai, and perfect day engineer. Her new book, Perfect Day, is geared towards entrepreneurs who are suffering from lifestyle deficit disorder. Founder of nonprofits Rain and Shine and She Climbs, Cokie's passion for entrepreneurship spans for-profit and nonprofit arenas alike.
Hey there, game changers. This is Gerry, founder of Vita Factor, where we help modern entrepreneurs strategize and grow their business.
Hi, and I'm Tati, founder of The Genius Spot, where we help women lead and live mindful and productive lives. And today we're here with Cokie, a wealth creator and a true manager of business and life. So thank you, Cokie, for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. You've already made today a perfect day for me. So this is fantastic.
So Cokie, your background is in wealth management. You are truly a wealth creator, and you have managed to create wealth for yourself, for your clients, for the nonprofits that you own. And so can you share with us how you got started in this field and your secrets about how to create wealth? And anything that you might have learned from this?
I like that. I like that question first because as Perfect Day, the book, which comes out January 2018, it has been under a working title for, probably 6 years now. And the working title was, I managed in finance so I wouldn't get screwed. So that sort of tells the story of how we got here is at the very young age of 8 years old, we had somewhat of a family crisis, and I will never forget my mother looking me square in the face and saying, "Don't ever, ever count on anyone to take care of you." And wow, I saw myself enrolling in college and needing to declare a major. And those words just slapped me across the face. It was like, they just rung through my head. So what major am I going to choose? Well, so I majored in finance so I wouldn't get screwed. I figured this is where life's going to hand it to you if you don't know about money or finance or negotiations, insurance, investments. So that's how it all began.
And so you had shared that you started with big corporations, correct? And then as a woman, how was that for you?
I did. So my first foray in investments and finance was with what I call big brokerage, or a very large brokerage firm. The firm started small, but we got gobbled and gobbled and gobbled, and became a part of a bigger bigger financial institution. And, I found myself the only woman advisor within my region, or within, the city where I was working. And so it's definitely the good old boy network, which I actually love. I love working with men. That's not so much the problem. But God doing for me what I could not do for myself was that I exited big brokerage in 2007-ish as a result of a sexual discrimination case, which if you Google my name, it's there, and it's something I'm actually proud of. And I was not a victim, and it's a story I'm happy to share. Because it was my first foray in standing up for myself, and just knowing when things are being done that are not right, and knowing it's a door you have to walk through. So I walked through that door, and walking through that door, quite frankly, meant starting over. And that was okay. That was okay because, I knew that within big brokerage, I had grown a practice of about 300 clients and 300 to 350 million in assets. And I found us doing all things for all people. So I definitely had a great framework and understanding of what was wrong with big brokerage and what was wrong with how we were delivering wealth creation strategies to clients. And so in leaving and restarting, it gave me a platform for creating a new practice that eliminated all those things that I didn't like about big brokerage and about financial planning.
It's amazing and so inspiring to hear a woman speaking up from the place of empowerment, and like you said, not the victim. And it's so important for us. As you may know, at the Mindful Entrepreneur, we are all about collaborating the male and the female aspects of leadership. So this is something that we love hearing. So thank you. And I'm sure it's going to inspire other women. I can think of some right now that are debating between standing up for themselves or, just going with the flow. And your story is very inspiring because you wound up selling one of your businesses very successfully, correct?
Yeah. So that practice, and having started over in 2008, just consummated a merge/buyout the fall of 2016. So a short 8 years later, I guess it's the proof is in the pudding. We got our footing about us and grown the business at double digits every year, and
Wow.
It became a great success. But one of the amazing things in stepping out on my own that I didn't have the freedom to do when I was, part of big brokerage, is that my true entrepreneurial spirit really, when I didn't have those chains, really blossomed when I left the big brokerage and started on my own. And so having merged a major portion of my wealth management practice last year, has opened up even more doors to a lot of the creativity and the consulting and the writing and just the one-on-one engagement that I've been craving.
Congratulations. We love hearing that.
Thank you.
Speaking of wealth management, can you share some tips for entrepreneurs and business owners that they can use to set up their financial success?
Oh gosh, do we start with buy low, sell high? Is it? Is that a good one? No, I want you to have me back, so I'm going to need to give you more than that. I will tell you, when we talk about this in Perfect Day Connect, which is the course, the online e-course, we talk about a 3-year bucket. And the 3-year bucket has been, in my experience over the last 20 years, with having worked just through financial planning, whether it be with individuals and business owners alike, a 3-year bucket is very crucial, and especially for business owners, because business owners find themselves sometimes captive to their industries, to the economy, to what's going on in markets, to what's going on with currencies, contracts, etc. So they're not always in control of their cash flow. They're not always in control of the business environment. And so a 3-year bucket is a way to remove the emotion from the things that you cannot control. So, and it's a hard thing to be disciplined to do. And especially for the entrepreneurs just starting out, of course, setting aside a 3-year bucket of cash flow sounds next to impossible. And I can acknowledge that it is. But having a 3-year bucket set aside isn't ideal. And it would take me hours to go into what does really the 3-year bucket entail. But, just quite briefly, it's taking a look at what your business needs and or what your really ideally what your life needs included in those cash flow needs all together. If, your business were to come to a screeching halt, what set aside is going to help you get through? And so what I've found is it just really changes the business owner's experience of these hiccups, of these of these slow periods, of the doldrums. It really opens them up also for these moments of creativity and, okay, so business is soft. We were counting on this. And it gives them an opportunity to take a step back, work, on their business and not in their business, to use a cliche. And it's those moments that the best things are born of these clients' businesses.
Yeah, great point, because it is in the moments of recession and it is in the moments of challenging times when opportunity evolves, presents itself, or you get creative, like you said, and necessity is the mother of creativity. So,
and you can't underestimate, I say often, create your own economy. And if a business owner can create their own economy, the only way to do that, by the way, is to have a 3-year bucket. If you can create your own economy, you are free. You've got the freedom to do what you want when you want, and you cannot underestimate when a recession hits and you've got 3 years set aside of cash flow, the opportunities that you can take at those moments. I can't explain to you the joy.
That is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Even for startups, I'm thinking, yes, it is extremely challenging, but even for startups, it's like whatever income you get, start setting it aside. At least it sounds like 30% at least to make it to eventually the 3-year.
And it's the 3-year bucket term is just that. I mean, it's an ideal figure to shoot for, but think about it. Everyone's checking accounts are different. Some people have a comfort level of X in their checking account left over at the end of the month. Some people are comfortable with Y. So, that's just a loose gauge for even the startup who is able to put away $1,000 or $2,000 or $10,000 is a big deal. And that still can afford many opportunities when, there's a hiccup or a dry period.
Speaking of creating wealth, we know you run 2 nonprofits and then have time to serve in other community activities. How do you have time to manage all of that?
A really good time system. And the real answer is delegation.
Yes.
I know the D word is, not the word anyone wants to hear, especially when we're dealing with the entrepreneurial mindset, which is one of very much a control nature. The bottom line is if you cannot empower your team and delegate everything that is not genius, you can be certain that you will stay on the plateau that your business is right now and that you will not get further. So delegation is key. But I do have a time system that I talk about in the book and in the e-course that really helps you compartmentalize your days and your hours. And, for me, everything is about energy. How do you feel? What's your experience? And so, when the beginning of the question talked about wealth, wealth creation is an experience, because just like the checking account balances, someone may feel wealthy with X in their checking account and someone may feel wealthy with Y. what I've come to find in 20 plus years in this business is that true wealth is something that is not at all defined by our financial assets. But it comes from taking an inventory of all the different assets that we possess, business owner or not. It's an understanding what assets you might be light in.
Mm-hmm.
And my coach and mentor, Lee Brower, of Empowered Wealth, came up with the term true wealth and helped me in designing this process for my clients whereby we categorize their assets. Let me tell you the number one asset, 100% of the time, what people are missing. 100% of the time when we take the asset inventory, the asset that everyone is missing or the asset that's out of balance or the bucket that's less full is your contribution assets or your contribution category. So thankfully, I realized this early on and was able to take opportunity in founding a nonprofit equine therapy facility, Rain and Shine. My husband and I, we had 40 acres on a farm and knew we could not be great stewards of 40 acres. And so really my first foray in nonprofit, true nonprofit work and founding a nonprofit was with Rain and Shine.
Speaking of true wealth and contribution, what can you say to entrepreneurs about this?
You know, I had a client last week who, it was a little bit of an aha moment for me because she had some staff, as we were talking openly about contribution and contribution assets. And I could kind of tell that she was going down this path of, I don't need to be passionate about Habitat for Humanity or She Climbs or Rain and Shine. Like I have kids and I have all this going on. I'm emotionally kind of not ready to have this huge contribution back to the world. And, you know, she was brave and vulnerable in saying that. And, you know, contribution is not just, you know, in some periods of your life, it may be writing a check to your favorite organization. Okay. But I would offer that for those who are wealthiest, those who have achieved true wealth, the contribution bucket and their contribution impact is much greater than writing a check. And it's what they do the most in any given day. And the aha came with this business owner as staff was saying, well, what about this? Or what about that? And mentioning nonprofits that she should engage in. When it felt very clearly to me that her contribution bucket could be filled simply by contributing to her children in a different way and or contributing to her business in a different way. And what we landed on was that her contribution was rebuilding and solidifying a strong culture within her business. And that culture was one of contribution through her business. So I know that's a little bit of an offshoot, but it's just important to know that, you know, that your contribution bucket doesn't have to be rigid. It doesn't have to be swinging a hammer. I love Habitat for Humanity because I've made several references to it. But think about the impact that this woman entrepreneur, business owner, think about the impact of what this CEO is going to have on her employees by developing a culture within her firm. She's helping them grow as individuals. And the byproduct is going to be growth within her business. So it seems selfishly motivated, but I know what's going to come from it, which is richer, deeper relationships and a feeling that she's given back and changed those people's lives. And that's contribution.
Yeah, I agree. It's contribution, it's service, and it's true leadership because she's able to inspire others as well. So yeah, great story. I'm going to take it on a tangent here, but very related because we've talked about Perfect Day. So in the latest book, Perfect Day, it's geared towards entrepreneurs who are suffering from lifestyle deficit disorder, LDD, which is a term you coined. Can you share with us what that is and how to cure it?
I can share it because I had it firsthand. I had LDD. And so having suffered from it and cured it, just like any disorder, you can slip. And so
Right.
you've got to make sure that you have strategies and tactics for knowing when, I think LDD is creeping back in. And so what do we do? So firsthand, I had LDD. We were going into the recession. I had just started the business here. So I'd gone out on my own. I had just, fought the male establishment. My children were at the time, '08. So they were 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the height of LDD, which really just means you've got no time, you've got no money. Your to-do list is never ending. You're on this hamster wheel and you wake up every day and it's the same thing after the next. And you're working your absolute off. Excuse me. Can I say that? And you're going nowhere. And I was exhausted. You're exhausted, you're overtaxed, and there's no solution. You're like, I don't even have time to come up with a solution. This is LDD.
Yeah, something entrepreneurs and business owners know nothing about. Yes.
Right. So I trademarked the term LDD because this is what I had seen in my clients and then became victim to. And I created a process within their financial planning, within their business planning to help keep LDD at bay. And it's a framework. So your question was, I've had it, we've cured it, mine's at bay. I'll tell you, and I already sort of gave one of the answers to the secret sauce. I mean, there's a few perpetuators of LDD, and it's the lack of time, lack of money, inability to delegate. And LDD comes from a combination of those 3. But I will say the main culprit is the inability to delegate.
Love that. Now, when you talk about the perfect day, what is a perfect day? Because to me, it sounds like being at the beach, having the laptop over there whenever I need to do something. But a perfect day could be so many things to so many different people. Do you have a specific framework of what that is?
Well, obviously it's different for everyone. Mm-hmm. I mean, the framework is the same, but where you land is different. And it'll be different from one year to the next, most likely. But you set me up perfectly, because I'll tell you what the perfect day is not. Well, number one, it's not perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. That's what a perfect day is. My clients leave the perfect day experience with a framework so that when they need resets, and we all do, and we all love vacation, and not all of us love putting our feet in the sand, but I do. And with a cocktail in my hand, a little umbrella, I love that. But what happens for me on vacation and during a reset is I have my perfect day framework with me, and I take the time to evaluate, are all these things still true? Is this still where I'm headed? And if it is, great. I get back, I get on the hamster wheel, but I'm going much slower and I know exactly where I'm headed. You take the framework and it changes. Something's changed. And you can change your perfect day pyramid. You can change your framework like that. If you can take the time to step out and step away, you can recreate that framework for anything. So I'd love to give you nuggets of what my perfect day was. I'll tell you, the perfect day that I wrote in 2003, so many things actually came true. But that was a grandiose perfect day. I was climbing the 7 summits of the world. I was starting nonprofits. I was having children I didn't have. The president of the United States was meeting me when I got off the plane, because I'm the youngest, female American to climb all these summits. It was this grandiose. That's not what a perfect day is. Okay. It's a great effing day. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about creating perfect days for every day.
Every day.
We can have a perfect day every day. And for the entrepreneur, you need to create a perfect day while you're working. You need to have a perfect day on an admin day, like, oh, who hates those admin days? You do, but you can create an admin day where it becomes a perfect day. And
That's right.
so you can create a revenue day that becomes a perfect day.
And that makes so much sense, Cokie. That makes so much sense because for an entrepreneur, especially, every day is so different. There's so many variables that having just one perfect day didn't seem realistic with your explanation, with having a framework that can be applied to any day is just perfect for an entrepreneur, because most of the times we're also multi-passionate. And then,
Absolutely.
you have the needs of the business that are so versatile. So makes so much sense, so much in alignment with how we see business as well. So
well, and I love the title Mindful Entrepreneur. I will share, we've said the buzzword framework so many times, but there's something important we haven't talked about, and that is the foundation for that framework.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes hand in hand with being mindful. And the foundation for the framework is gratitude. And when I'm speaking to entrepreneurs, what I say to them is I'm not going to sell you happy. I get it. But I'm telling you, you need to do this. You've got to start in gratitude, because if you do, you'll realize how many more perfect days you can have just simply by expressing gratitude and being more happy. I know you've heard it, but our brains are wired for negativity, period. End of story. That's how we're wired, but we can actually change that. But what I sell to the entrepreneur, if you will, is that, what about workplace productivity? What about that?
Mm-hmm.
What about, job success, workplace success? I mean, the studies linked to those who have optimism and a certain skill set around gratitude and optimism, it proves that they're 70% more productive. So do you want 70% more productive employees? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So begin a culture within your business of gratitude.
Love that.
That's the framework. You've got to begin in that. And quite frankly, that was the hardest thing for me, is that with a finance background, I have a finance accounting degree. People come to me wanting to do financial planning. Oh, I need a plan. Oh, my business has done so great this year. Can you help me retire? And, Bill, true story,
Mm-hmm.
Bill, oh, Bill, you want to retire? That's great. That's great. So what are you going to do? I'm going to play golf. That's what I'm going to do. I mean, I can't count on one hand how many bills I have that I've counseled in the last 20 years that, I look at Bill and I say, oh my gosh, what's your handicap? You play, that's fantastic. Oh, I don't have a handicap. I don't play golf. So I asked Bill, like, well, why do you want to retire to play golf if you don't even know if you like golf? To which Bill says, I don't have time to play golf. I'm too busy working. Well, the point about the plan is anyone can do the calc on a smartphone or on a calculator. How much money do you need to save for retirement? It's about really figuring out how to play golf today. Because if you're a true entrepreneur, playing golf is a reset without a framework.
True.
Yeah.
Completely agree. And in terms of mindful entrepreneur, it is about doing what we love now. This also started, just as a background, we did some interviews a couple of years ago with extremely successful people, and time again, the information that we got back was, I just want to have relaxation. I want to be able to spend time with my family. I want to, that is my greatest success. And we were like, well, why wait till 20 years from now? We can do that now. We don't have to wait. So it's, very much in alignment with what you were saying, Cokie.
And it's unfortunate how many clients have had what I call ER moments. We talk about this in the book, that, sidestepping a heart attack or going to rehab. I mean, this is what happens with a life full of LDD. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how many nickels you have to rub together. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. when you find yourself in rehab or on death's door because you've not taken care of yourself because you didn't have time to eat right or to exercise, what's the money going to get you then?
Yeah, we agree. And something we also were talking when we started all this journey with Tati and myself with the Mindful Entrepreneur is not only let's enjoy life now because it's a present we should enjoy now, but also how can you have an impact? How can you go beyond yourself? And I think you explain it, that part of the assets should be that service because ultimately it's about, how can you, I don't know if it's create a legacy, but more live that legacy today, and live it to the fullest and really create an impact. So resonates a lot what you're saying with us.
If you're going to have a business that's just running you around and running you around and running you around, you're never going to have the time, the money, or the emotional space to want to have impact or be able to give back. But if you have a life-centered business, one that fits around the life you imagine for yourself, then you're going to have that space available. And I understand many are listening or watching and shaking their heads and saying, well, how the hell do I do that? It's one stroke of gratitude at a time.
Love that. Phenomenal.
Yeah, great point. Now, we've also heard that you've been climbing the 7 summits of the world, as you alluded to before, and you're off to the next trip very soon. What inspired you to do this?
It's funny. I've made reference a few times to my 2003, my first perfect day. I had never climbed a mountain in my life. I took one day off the hamster wheel of life, freaking out. I probably drove 90 miles an hour to this day off retreat. I'm like, oh my God, I'm taking a day off. How do I do that? I'm blaring Enya in the car. I throw off my seatbelt. I throw myself out of the car. I run into the retreat late. And I sit down to write my perfect day. And it emerged that I was climbing mountains. I don't know what to tell you about that. But I have now climbed 3 of the 7 summits of the world. And alpine mountaineering is my absolute passion. It's such a beautiful way to celebrate life and faith and family and a business and adventure. It's just, I can't get enough of it. So I just climbed my highest and tallest in February this year, Mount Aconcagua in Argentina. So it's tallest peak in South America. And I'll be climbing Denali. So that'll be my 4th in June of next year. And more exciting, which is not exactly in my wheelhouse, but I'm looking very forward to it. But I will be on Grand Teton for the solar eclipse. So I head out this week and to give some more awareness to She Climbs. She Climbs has each year in December, She Climbs takes women of all ages to the roof of Africa to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro at 19,341 feet. It's just a nice long walk to the top. We do this every December, and so we're gearing up for a climb here in about 5 months.
That's exciting. One was a part of the coaching sessions that I do with women for their personal lives is through hikes, smaller hikes. That just sounds so empowering. It is amazing.
Well, for those who want a longer hike, she-climbs.org.
Awesome.
There's another advertisement.
So, Cokie, what is your next summit, figuratively speaking, in life that you wish to conquer?
I want to reveal what's a little bit of an aha in the book. 3/4 of the way through the book, in talking about taking stock of your assets and talk about creating a perfect day, my feet were really forced to the fire of authenticity. And where I found myself was in the middle of a separation. So 3/4 of the way through the book, and having really taken stock of my life and my businesses and all that was going on and my children, I looked up and decided it was time to get divorced. So that's the mountain I'm climbing right now. And a beautiful piece of it is we ended the book with an afterword that reveals some of these pieces to the reader. And it's important because I want the reader to know that I'm not perfect, and yes, I have perfect days, and yes, I climb mountains, but guess what? My case of LDD, quite frankly, could have brought me the ER moment, which is, we talked about, rehab and being hospitalized or death, but another fallout or symptom of LDD is divorce. And it's no wonder that the divorce rate, it's actually ticked up. We're at 51% in the United States. So that's the mountain I'm climbing, and I'm happy to report that I am the luckiest almost single woman in the world, because my soon-to-be ex-husband, it's been a beautiful process, one in which we've both done very mindfully, and we're learning and we're growing, and we're both committed to keeping LDD at bay because he's also an entrepreneur. And so just to keep sight of what's super important to us, which is our children, has been a beautiful mountain to climb. And, we're not done yet. We're not quite done, but, I think that's, you asked me, was there anything vulnerable I could share? That's what I would tell you is that, we all have these bumps in the road, but again, not to beat a dead horse, but, if you have a framework, with which to take stock of your life, even though there may be pain involved, such as a divorce or big decisions, it may be firing someone within your company. If the decisions are truly aligned with your values and who you are, there are better days on the other side. So that's what a perfect day is. I love you, Tony.
It's a great story about courage, and it's a great story about wealth creation. And ultimately what it comes down is taking care of yourself so you can take care of others. It's everything that it should be. So it's a great, it's a really nice journey that you share with us, and how your framework can help anybody going through, we talked about business, but we talked about personal. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely. And if anything, I think it just speaks to my passion for this process and wanting to help entrepreneurs, sidestep things that they don't have to go through. And if I can be a part of that, it's also a perfect day.
And also, it's great that you mentioned that aspect that was very vulnerable, because it's how you can apply a perfect day to even challenging times that most people, how many people can really say, I love you, so-and-so, going through a divorce? It's a huge win, something to be grateful for. But it is wonderful that you can apply a perfect day even as you go through life, because let's face it, that is life.
It's a mindset. And if you can commit to it, joy and productivity, and quite frankly, the revenues will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Cokie, for being here with us. Like I said, it was a great story. It was wonderful getting to know you a little bit more, and we hope we all keep having perfect days.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Hey, and before you leave, both the Genius Spot and Be the Factor want to thank you, our awesome audience, for being part of our podcast. And if you found this episode of value, please share it with your friends and loved ones so they too can join the Mindful Entrepreneur.